Welcome back to the Symbio Cannabis podcast. Back again with Aaron, my partner. What's up, buddy?
What's up, man? Glad to be
Uh,
here.
happy day to you. Just been working hard today, man. Lots of meetings as well as you have, I think. So it's been a whirlwind kind of day.
Totally, man. I think people are still not used to the 30-day extension with this whole coronavirus thing. Like being April 1st, and then people are like, wait, we have 30 more days to stay inside now. It's like, minimum. I think it's kind of like I think it's alarming to a lot of people's minds. But on top of that, and then going to, us in e-commerce in the internet world, just a lot of businesses still kind of on norm, and even some of it's kind of ramped up. Now, that being said, there's definitely challenges being occurred and losing clients and gaining new ones, but it's definitely both a pause and a speed up at the same time.
It is. I feel like that too. Like I'm going back and forth. And somebody mentioned on Facebook, they were like, if I hear the word pivot one more time, I'm going to throw up.
It's like that roller coaster or something.
Yeah, it's just like, but yeah, I think it's all about having a network too. Like what we're going to talk about today is building a network or having a network, and how do you do that, and what the importance of having a network. And like one of the phrases I like is like, it's not who you know, it's who knows you.
That's good. I haven't heard that one, but I like it. I like that one. I like it reminds me of, there's a top of mind quote. It's something about just being important to stay top of mind with people, and kind of just having a frequency and an awareness. I was reading a book. I'm reading This is Marketing by Seth Godin. So I think I was reading this on the previous podcast, but I'm just about done with it now. But
he's awesome.
Dude, it's fantastic. Talked about one of those chapters I just read about was about frequency, and that how often when you keep up with your network, you're showing them frequency and consistency, which leads them to build trust, because you become a pattern that you're more familiar with. So you can think of it as like, you remember the events that you have photos of, and you remember the family members that were you remember Uncle Jim or Steve, who was at the last 20 years of family events, but you don't necessarily remember, their girlfriend that came to two of them. And so it's like the idea of frequency and consistency, building a lot of trust in people. I think it's important. But but like you said, I think today's topic, just really, I'd love to cover kind of building a network, the value of how you built your network, how I built my network independently, how we those have collaborated into kind of our new network in the cannabis scene, and also how you maintain and develop that over time and use it to help you reach your goals quicker.
Yeah, that's important. And I think like people always ask, like, how did you build your network? They ask me because I have a pretty big network of different people. And I think it just comes down to like really wanting to help people first. Like I really do care about, like, okay, you need something and this person has it. Let me connect you guys and help you move forward. Just having that like nature of wanting to help people. And then also just like, providing value in groups that you're in, or wherever, or creating a group like I decided to do a year ago. I created the CBD Business Success Group just because I wanted to help the community in some way, and I didn't see anybody doing that. And then by that, like, has been able to build a network out. So just like joining groups and sharing your knowledge is a one way of building up a network, I think.
It's really interesting. It's like, I agree. I think that all those are key points, but I think the most key is that first one is it's having altruistic motivations. If your goal is really to serve others first, naturally everything, the network will build. Naturally, the people will rally around you and want to help you in that pursuit. I also, someone told me that the root of creativity is connecting the dots or connecting people or connecting things and peoples. And it reminded me of just how many times I've thought through just taking the time to say, hey, I know this guy over here that could help you over here, that you guys might have no relation to each other or awareness of each other at all. And tying that together can lead to profound new things. So I think it's really important. And similarly for me is how I've created my network. A lot of it for me has been colleagues, people that I've worked with in the past that I've had success with. So, like I think you talked to Oven maybe once or twice, but Oven does a lot of development work for his company eScale, and I've had consistent success with having development projects turn around or satisfied clients with their work. And so we've worked together a lot through that. Or a lot of the partners and a lot of the people, Shauna, someone that works with us more regularly, known Shauna for years. So I built a lot of my network from experience of doing things together. And then outside of that, frankly, Facebook is pretty wild when it comes to network building. Their whole goal is connecting people. And so for me, like when you've had the first group, I remember coming in February of 2018 or whatever it was, and joining around that time, and and kind of just you start seeing the same faces pretty quickly. And as long as when you're coming there trying to share value, where you're not coming just to take, often naturally the network starts to kind of appear before you.
Yeah, and it's so simple, but a lot of people don't get it. Like they'll just try to sell stuff or take and not give anything in groups, and then they wonder why, hey, nobody's reaching out to me, or no, it's like you're not playing the game right. Like even like a lot of people that are even trying to provide value in groups, you should reach out to the group owner or the admin of the group, and it's just common courtesy to me to reach out to them and say, hey, I got some things I want to share with the group, because you're kind of pitching your services in a way. So it's like, to me, you should reach out to the admin before you start doing those kind of posts, in my opinion. Like if you're asking to get clients or something like that, or sell something,
and if your goal is real value, not just to siphon value, or to provide value, not to just siphon value, then that shouldn't be a hesitation, I think, with most people. There's been times where I posted, I think, in groups that I didn't clarify something with the admin beforehand, but never in the sense of if it was just to sell or promote a service. But I think that the amount of the thing is, when you're entering those communities, a lot of those people already have networks built up already, and you're entering into familiar territory for them, but unfamiliar for you. And just taking the time to speak to the admin or some type of group member like that would lead to a lot more effective collaboration and value spreading, if that's really your goal.
Yeah, and there's a lot of CBD groups out there that are facing consumers, where you could provide educational value and things like that, and then reach out to the admin of the group and do some sort of special offer and things like that. So, there's huge power in some of these groups. Like some of them have hundreds of thousands of members in them, and they're really active, and they're all consumers of CBD products, and pages too. Like I talked to a guy today, Oren. His company has multiple cannabis and CBD pages on Facebook, and they have over 200 million reach with their pages.
Wow.
So reaching out to people like that who we can connect, we'll connect people in our group about that opportunity especially. But there's other people like that have mega groups that you could connect with and build a relationship, and that's what it's all about. Like building a network, it's not just about, hey, what can they do for me? It's a two-way street, and and just
I find being really frank and honest, or like really transparent, leads to closer relationships quicker, or fruitful relationships. I'm trying to think of who we did. Just anyone. Just when I approach people these days, I kind of come with here's my fruit basket and of what I can add of value. This is what I'm looking for. Is there any type of transaction here that would be rewarding and a win-win for both of us? And I think when people are approached that way, or when you approach people that way, that you come, or it's kind of magnetic, right? And I think that you got to remember a lot of the feelings that you might have about wanting to connect with others, or creating a network, or creating a community. They want those same things. They just want you to be mindful, just like you want them to be mindful, that it needs to be a value exchange. And if you really kind of contemplate value, and what does it mean for you to receive something? What is value to you? And you lean into that, you can start seeing it from their perspective, and have a higher success rate with partnerships or collaborations.
I like that. Yeah. And then even like Paul Booth, our buddy, he told me a story about how he made friends with the junior editor at Men's Health magazine.
Oh, really?
and then sent him some really cool samples of his product, and became friends. Sent the whole office actually like 80 different samples, and
Awesome.
they actually loved the product too, which is important. And then he ended up getting a free write-up in Men's Health magazine.
Awesome,
So
dude. That's
just, and he just like met him at some event or something, and just they connected. It's just about being real with people and connecting, and just being yourself, and showing people that your passion comes across. Like, even when I used to be in the music business, there's so many bullshitters in the music business. And when I would meet people, they would always tell me, like, I could tell you're not a bullshitter. I could tell you know your stuff. Like, so
totally.
it's like, and from where I come, they say real recognizes real. It's just like real people, they recognize each other, and then that's how you build those relationships. Just like how we met. Like, I saw, all I do is watch CBD brands, and I saw your brand Maku at the time killing it on Facebook ads, and I was like, I gotta find this person who's doing this. And I don't even remember how I tracked you down, but somehow I did.
I don't remember either. I know, I think we became friends on Facebook originally. And then from there, I connected with your group. And then at that point, I was like, man, this guy knows everybody. I need to get him on my team somehow.
Yeah, it's about the network, and that's what people have told me before. What makes my consulting and our consulting services valuable, one of the biggest things they say, is our network of people. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
so,
Well, and, it's a continually growing network too. Like even from when we started, or just from recent past, like every time that we start creating new relationships with packagers or packaging specialists or designers or videographers or ad specialists or SEO specialists or web developer, it can be very challenging. I think I find it at times very challenging to find the right people to work with, that ones that you can be confident in, and ensure that you can get a positive result out of working with them, out of the relationship. And so kind of like, something that we do internally is we have like our vetted network resource page, which for currently it's just an internal document. It's just, here's all the different services that I might need at any given time, and people that we work with or could work with that we trust or think have really high quality skills. And just even having access to that when you need it, and at different times you'll need different resources. It can be such a time saver, and both on the sense of finding someone quickly, but really finding, saving you the time of finding the wrong person is really the big time saver.
yeah, and that's what I always ask our clients, for like, how are we doing, or what have we done to help you? And they all say the same thing pretty much. We got to where we wanted to go way faster with you guys, because we're connecting the dots super fast, and connecting them to people that can actually get the shit done and get results. And I know you probably have, because you've told me horror stories, and I've had horror stories hiring the wrong people and spending thousands and thousands of dollars on the wrong people. And
like the worst mistake you can make, like I think there's even like what is it? Hire slow, fire fast. I think that's like the saying. I don't know.
oh yeah, something like that. I like that too. That's very smart.
Like bring up, be inquisitive. I find like I'll sometimes try to like trick myself subconsciously, where I'm like, oh, they're probably a great designer. They wouldn't ever say it if they weren't a great designer. Like,
I'm like that. I give them the benefit of the doubt too. I'm glad that I have B, my lady. She was a federal cop, and she went through 2 police academies, and she's very intuitive. So I've seen her a couple times. The first time she met certain people, she was like, nope, not working with them. And then I was like, what do you mean? They're awesome. Like, and then it turns out that they're terrible people and they're con artists and stuff. And I'm like, I thought they were awesome.
Totally. Well, dude, my wife's the same way. She's super discerning, and just like very, she just observant, I think, is also with her. And how lucky are we? But I think it's because we want the positive outcome. It's there's a bias, fallacy to it, but it's because I don't want to have to find a different designer. I had this happen recently. I had a designer that I worked with previously. I won't give names, but the guy kind of fucked me. And I hired him to do some designs. Waited till the due date and then told me he couldn't do it.
Oh yeah, you were telling me the other day about that. I was like, what the hell, man?
I was so mad. I was so mad. But thankfully, I had good designers in my network,
Yeah.
I reached out to, one of who did me a huge favor by doing it at a very
Last
great
minute.
and did it really quickly, huge favor. But that's because I have that network in place. It's because I had built those relationships, and rather than just guiding through life and passing through things and saying, hi and goodbye to people, I've kind of built those relationships along the way, and intend to do so consistently now.
Yep. And that's one of the notes that I have in my thing here is always have backups for every single position that you have in your network, pretty much. Like, I got 3 lawyers that I can reach out to, and, things of that nature. Like, and like people ask me, who should I have in my network? And I definitely say you should have a cannabis or hemp lawyer, an accountant, all the marketing experts, like whether it's somebody that can do ads or designers or affiliate experts or a copywriter, things like that. You want to have a compliance expert and a tech person, like a coder. That was the thing that really was a challenge when I had my brand Hemp Logica. We always would have issues with the website or something, and you got to have somebody on your team that can help with the technical issues, and then also somebody that can do sales. You need those people. Otherwise, if you don't already know how to do those things, you're going to have to outsource. And so I think those are some of the most important positions that you got to have for sure. Oh, for some reason you're muted.
There you go. Sorry.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I completely agree. Having backups, and then having backups to your backups. It's not even that they will all fail in general. It's more so they just might not be available at the moment or at the rate that you need them to be available.
Yeah.
So I had I have some great designers, but are developers, but if I give them a deadline of 4 days because it's a quick project, 2 out of the 3 might not be able to just do it in that time frame, even if they are still available and want to work together. So
Yeah.
for me, it's developers, designers, having those locked down. If you can get those locked down and have a few behind you, those are the 2 hardest ones, especially the designers. Like having a couple designers that can actually hit deadlines. I've been doing projects since 1990 was the first, like, I used to throw loft parties, and the first one I did was 1990 or 91. And I've been, dealing with designers to do flyers and stuff. And ever since then, it's been a fucking challenge finding somebody. Like, it's just, those are the worst people in the world. Like, because they're for sure.
Well, they're artists, so it's like it's kind of an art to them, and they're like, "Well, you're giving me deadlines. It's art."
Like, more real than people realize. I think that I always try to look for those types that are artists and entrepreneurs, but often the ones that are like that are usually the opposite. They're more entrepreneurial than they are artists. They're more just trying to show you work quickly. But you're right. Artists they're hard to manage. They're hard to work with. Hard to do on timelines. I look for professional people. I'll tell you what I do these days. Honestly, I'm looking for some new ones actually now, and kind of putting together a new list of them. I have a list of some people that my buddy interviewed for a job position that were no's, but his no's might be my yes. So I'm gonna go through with those. But right now, I'm essentially I'm paying a premium to work with higher quality people, just so I can know that it's going to get done and done right. Sometimes that's the caveat. I oftentimes I'll look for the more affordable solution that's still, you can have 2, you can have 3, cheap, fast, and good, or cheap, fast, and good. You can have 2, you can't have 3 of them.
Yeah.
I'm always looking for that solution. But sometimes that can be the most costly endeavor to begin with, is looking to I guess cheap out would be the word. Sometimes the cheap vendor is the most expensive one to your business.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And I've found that too. Like, you usually get what you pay for. Like the best lawyer that I've ever worked with, he's definitely not cheap, but he gets the job done if you have issues, And so, yeah, you don't want to skimp on a lawyer usually, or an accountant, or a designer.
Yeah. Developers, it's time has always been is an important one. Developers, here's the thing I do for developers to kind of find and qualify one that's really solid is, can you, if I give you a clear as day landing page design, can you give pixel perfect implementation of that design? If the answer is yes, and they've done it before, and they can do it for my project for whatever fee we do, then I give it to them. They shouldn't even have to talk to me. And the next time I should see it, it should look like that image that I gave them prior. And
Yeah.
that's who you really want. Well, I often, often though, I find the best way to find developers is to get recommendations from other people. Some people won't give them because they don't want to lose their developers.
That's a valuable position. My buddy's a developer, man. He was like, I could get a job like that. He was like, anywhere I want, basically, because he's really good at what he does. He knows all the languages and programming languages.
If I didn't care about entrepreneurship as much as I do, that's what I'd be doing.
Yeah, they make good money and they're in demand, man. It's a great skill to have for sure. It's like Greek to me. That's why I needed like one of the most valuable people for me in my thing is having somebody like you that knows those things, because that's not in my wheelhouse. So you have to balance out your weaknesses, and you want to focus on your strengths when you build out a network. Like that's what you want to be thinking about too, I think, in some ways. Absolutely. Like I did a 4-day seminar with 15 really successful entrepreneurs. They all had multi-million-dollar businesses. And we went around the room and we said, do you focus on your strengths or do you try to make your weaknesses better? And all of them were like, fuck the weaknesses. I just focus on my strengths and I outsource everything. So yeah, it's just a waste of time, like to try to make your weaknesses better. Like just find somebody that's good at it.
Tony Robbins says that the greatest entrepreneurs are 95% resourceful and 5% in any specific action item. So meaning like the key is like do what you do well for sure, but everything else try to outsource to excellent people who can do it well. But like, and coming to that, back to that point of just like vet them, even though you might not want to, because you want to assume that they're going to work out, because they might not. And if you find out later, when you could have found out by looking at their portfolio, that could save you a lot of time and headache for sure.
Yeah. And yeah, especially like when you're hiring a new marketing company, ask them for case studies and references. Don't just believe everything they're saying, because a lot of them are BSers. And
it's hard, like coming from that world, right? Like, you have NDAs and NCAs, but they expire, and so they should be able to kind of, they should be able to show you something or some regard, like I kind of give people, I show people a lot of times like the proof. I'm like, here's what I did. I don't have, like for Monk, for instance, Monk was where I did most of my work, but I don't have screenshots of my ad results. It was against the company's policy for me to have any, but I have the millions of views I've generated on those Facebook videos that are still live that I can show you, or my case studies that I can show you of that project. So I think it's like if they're intently avoiding it, that's the red flag.
That's a red flag. Yeah.
If they're giving you solutions that are still answering the questions or clearly showing you the proof, then you're good. And another really great way to do it is get a marketing person that you're close with and have them talk to them. If you can't recognize if they're real or not, bring a marketer in the room. It's almost immediate. I mean, you can put me in front of any marketer and I can, within 5 minutes, have like a pretty solid understanding of like, are you just bullshitting or do you actually have some sauce that you can apply?
Yeah, so it's key to vet them. And then I find that once you start vetting a network and you find quality people and your network starts to grow, then they start referring people in their network and those are solid people. And then it just starts to snowball kind of. And that's kind of what's happened with my network.
I'd say formalize it. Like, I know like on my side for vendors, I literally have a sheet. I go to my Google Sheets, I pull it up and I look through it for the resource I need, find it, look at the people available to it. And when I find new people, I get them in there. If I get reference a new person, but I don't need that right now, I get it in there. So that way I can come back to it.
That's smart. Yeah.
You go a deeper route. And a lot of you guys know we've been working on this CBD business accelerator, which is getting ready to launch. Super excited.
Yeah.
But Matt, you often take it one step further and you do interviews with most everyone that is in your network, or you take the time to like get on these calls and record it. Not most everyone, your network's way bigger than that, but you, which is saying a lot because you have a lot of video calls and a lot of recordings and a lot of interviews and like how-tos and explanations of how a lot of these people are doing what they're doing. And I've always noticed something that I thought was really cool about you is how you catalog your relationships almost.
Yeah, man, it's like, just have to really, I don't know why I'm just really good at remembering everybody too. And it just hits me really fast. That's just innate probably. Cause I don't like, it's
I think it's
just
your
natural.
relationships. I think it's real relationships. A lot of people are there just like, hey, I'm here. What can you do for me? But I think you come to the table not asking that, but are more looking to just say like, hey, this is who I am, what I'm doing. Who are you? What are you up to? And like just really build that authentic moment.
And if you do that like in an authentic way, like it pays off like when you need things. Man, I wish I could remember this documentary I watched. It was about this record label owner in the 70s from LA. And he was a black dude, but he was plugged in with all the Jewish guys and all the big time record labels. And he was a massive connector. He connected everybody. And he got sued and lost everything. And he was able to call up the big record label big wigs that he was buddies with all those years that he was connecting them and making all the connections, and they gave him millions of dollars. He started a new record label, and all because, and they did this documentary about him, and they all said on film, of course I helped this guy. He fucking connected me to everybody. And so when you do those things and you don't ask for anything, then when you actually do need something, then you could pick up the phone or ask
for you.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
I had a similar thing happen. I had a guy whenever I had just left one startup and was moving on to a new one, and I was looking for opportunities, and this guy just handed me like a big client, and I remember just being like, this is just, it completely changed the trajectory for a minute, and real quick, and he used his influence to help me land that client quickly. And so I think that comes. I think that, have you read the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
No, but I know the book. I know all about it. Yeah, I should read it.
I haven't read all of it, but I've skimmed through a little bit. And one thing that really stood out to me is how a lot of the outliers in the world, they're not people with better grades or higher IQ. It's actually the people who have better support systems around them. The people who have more family, more friends, that was more service to other people. Those are the outliers. Those are the people who stick out, are the ones that have those support systems built. And so I think that's a great point. I think that I think it comes down to, if you can really approach your business network in a sense of value first. It doesn't mean not have any boundaries. Don't let people rob you, but value first. And often you can share business strategy as a value, because most people aren't willing to take the time to implement it. And so share those types of things. But I value first, and then focus on service, focus on loving other people, provide them value, share with them, help them, find out what they need, see if you have any solution, or you can point them in the right direction. And then I'd say 3 is like character, man, character development. Like how do you respond when no one's looking? How do you treat people when no one's looking? Like are you treating people like you'd want to be treated? Essentially is kind of their, loving your neighbor as yourself type principle. And I think that often that if you can really focus on developing that aspect of yourself, that your business relationships will be much more fruitful. And that when you are in those tougher situations, that you'll have a network of people who are there to support you. Because I think character is often communicated, whether the individual's aware of it or not.
And I think for me, like psychedelics and cannabis use has really helped me realize those things about, like, we're all connected, man, and we really are the same energy if we just and in the power of your energy and choosing your attitude and just vibrations and raising my vibration instead of being low and angry and cynical and I raise my vibration up, and people are attracted to that, and they want to be around that, and they like people that have a high vibration, I think. And then people with a low vibration are attracted to each other in that respect. And I don't want to fuck with those people, like
cannabis and these psychedelics, they're almost like awareness amplification, or like they often lead you, as distracting as they can be sometimes with, patterns or vision, or I was going to say hallucinations, but that's not the word I was looking for. trips, what the patterns, visuals. When as distracting as they might be with visuals at the time, or with cannabis not having so much visuals, but I often find them to just draw my attention to the moment much more strongly, which often leads me to realizing, especially with psychedelics, just how connected, me, you, Matt, but our whole network, the expanded network, and then all of humanity.
One time I was on shrooms, and I we were like young, like really young, and my buddy tased me from behind while I was on shrooms. I was so mad at him, and then I got up and
it sounds terrible.
I made him stick his tongue out, and I tased him in his tongue, and he fell down. And then after that, I was so angry, I just went off by myself and sat down, and I was looking down, and there was ants, and I just watched the colony of ants for like 3 hours and just got into their world, and like, man, we're even connected. Look at this world that they have. We're all connected. And just, it's amazing, like, to just see all that and how nature is, we're all connected. And so just taking that into networking with people, and that's kind of what I do. It's a psychedelic journey in a way.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's probably the most psychedelic journey. It's meeting other people and connecting, humans in all of our experience. I think that's why it's important, though. It's like, you have to define what you want out of the world by being an example of it.
100%. And you have to know what you want to be and what you're about, and look within yourself to discover those things. Because most people, they don't even know what they want out of life, and they just let life they just fly through life. And it's just,
absolutely. I'm constantly, even my, like, I think about these things a lot, but I even myself deal with, I think about, I get upset about, I'm not living the life I'm wanting, or this isn't, I'm not, the things I want to happen aren't happening yet. And I often realize I actually don't even have those things defined.
Yeah, me too. And I'm 45, and sometimes I realize that too. I'm like, wait a minute, I need to define it harder. But then also they say, I used to hear this from people, the phrase, "We plan, God laughs," and it's,
right. No, exactly.
You got to be flexible.
Once we get out of the box that we're currently in, there's usually another box. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, if you want to have $100, you get $100. What do you want next? $1,000. Well, or if you think a cat's going to solve all you realize that there's something beyond what you want once you've accomplished it. Often. So but I think that's where kind of like going on this psychedelic segue for a second, but I think that's where like awareness really comes into place. If you can start like emanating, being, or exemplifying what it is that you want from other relationships in yourself, you're going to attract more of that. And maybe it's law of attraction or something similar, I don't know, but I see it happen often,
I've seen it in my own life. I used to be a really angry, violent person, and I used to hang out with killers and angry, violent people. And now I have friends that are billionaires. I got 2 billionaire executive friends, entrepreneur friends, and and one on the making. and so it's like just changing my attitude and my thoughts and my energy. I'm surrounded by way more positive people now that are doing good in the world, that are helping people, and the most generous people, and not just people that have money, like people that are just average, Joes that are just out there serving humanity in positive ways. Because money isn't everything. Like I feel like I'm a billionaire already, like just from the people that I've helped in the cannabis world, and yeah, I've made a lot of money too. But it's like, it's just the service is the real reward, and the money comes as a byproduct.
I mean, if I've and I'm young and still have a lot to learn. But one of the things I've learned in my pursuit of entrepreneurship is that just money won't satisfy pretty much at any point. When I look at the greatest people in my head of people I want to be, they were beyond it. They weren't even thinking about money. Almost money's a byproduct of doing whatever it is that you want to do well.
100%. Yeah, and they do it really good. Like, and my 2 billionaire buddies, they don't give a shit about money. Yeah, one of them has private jets and houses all over the world, but he just bought like what are those little tiny cars from Europe? Yeah, he bought a little Fiat. Like he's like he can buy any car he wants. He doesn't care. Like, and then my other buddy that's a billionaire, he drives a 2001 Lexus. That's his daily driver. Like he can buy any car in the world. And
there's a book about that. There's like a the CEO drives a Kia, I think is what it's called.
that's funny. They don't care about these things. Like they're beyond that. Like it's about. But then I remember my buddy Richard took me out. We were out for lunch somewhere. He just walked back into the kitchen, starts handing out 20s.
Jeez.
Like, you know, just like cool. Like it just awesome. It doesn't mean it's like doesn't mean anything to him, but it does. But it just makes their day. You know, just little shit.
I mean, that's where I'm like if you look at people who have changed the world the most, anyone from Steve Jobs to George Washington to Zuckerberg, it's never really about money. It's almost always about serving humanity in a way that was going to provide value at scale. And like, what did Steve Jobs do? You know, he gave us everything from music in our pockets to the world in our pockets. You know,
and Bill Gates as well with the operating systems and all that, just to be able to function at this level that we do. And even with the CBD brand, you could really serve humanity and help so many people. And so just whatever you choose to do, it's you know, about
that's
service.
Awesome. Our perspective, me and you, like, and I'm really glad that me and you align on that one, because that's like, you know, we tell people all the time, we try specifically to take clients on that are doing a bigger good outside of themselves. But even, you know, we see it, I see it, and I know you do as well, as the spreading of hemp and CBD in a natural, safe way as a service to humanity, which is really why we do what we do. You know, it's great to make money, and money can do a lot of good things. But it's the starting place has to be serving other people. And I tell you what, like, I find it to be the most profitable strategy I know.
Yeah, 100%. And in that way you build your network. And so I think we could leave it at there for today. So we'll see everybody next week.
Oh, by the way, CBD Accelerator is going live, just because I want to mention it because I think people would be interested. We're on April 11th, we're doing the Elite Sellers Summit. And we have some awesome people, including Paul Booth, Patty, how do you say her last name?
Patty Zanin.
Zanin, that's okay.
Marty Marion is going to be speaking.
Be there. And then you'll be there, I'll be there. And then one really cool one, kind of a keynote speaker, we got Cody Alt over at Pure Canna. A lot of you guys know Pure Canna because they sold their company for $90 million.
Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest.
And he started the company with $18,000. So he's going to talk about his journey of doing that. What did he do from start to finish? And they still own part of Pure Canna, I believe half of it. So it's incredible, the deal that they were able to pull off in 18 months. It's incredible.
We've talked to him quite a bit, and first off, how cool it is that our network this network that's being created is combining these people, first off, which is incredible. And to see some people, you know, sometimes in a lot of different groups I'm in, I'm like, okay, but where are the big players? They're here, guys. You just got to keep your eyes open. I'm excited. I'm glad that he accepted your offer to come to the table to speak, because I have a lot of questions. How the hell did you maintain 50% of your company and sell for $9?
I know. He really pulled off something with that. So I'll make sure to ask him that when we do the interview portion, because I'm going to be interviewing him on that. So
you're paneling it. Perfect.
Yeah, with that one we'll be doing like a back and forth. So yeah, it's going to be exciting. That's April 11th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific.
So what time was it again? I'm sorry. April 11th.
April 11th, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Perfect. And I talked to Matt about this a little bit. We're going to be doing some giveaways. One thing specifically is we're going to be launching the CBD Business Accelerator, which is going to give you access to a lot of the vetted network that we already have access to, kind of a private forum for people to communicate and make deals and partnerships in a quicker, safer, kind of vetted sense, as well as just a fantastic amount of content that has been
there's huge amount of content in there already, and then we have courses as well, and you can buy and sell in the CBD Accelerator. So if you have bulk product that you want to sell, things like that, and it's just about connecting the network together and building a community.
We've been working on this one for a long time. Matt's been working on it for a very long time, but we've been working on it now for a while, and it's been kind of under wraps. So it's exciting to kind of get this out there finally.
Yeah.
We're going to be giving away access. We're going to be doing some giveaways during the Elite Seller Summit. We're going to be giving away access to this new group and program. We're going to be giving away some sessions potentially. So there's going to be some really exciting things on this thing. So I strongly urge you guys to come and join us. And you said 11 to 4 Pacific?
10 a.m. to 4 Pacific, and that's going to be streaming live. If you join the CBD Business Success group on Facebook, you'll be able to see it there.
Okay, cool. And we'll put a link in the description too of this video and the podcast so people can click it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we'll put a link to the landing page, and then you'll be able to get all the updates on it.
Dope.
Cool. As always, a pleasure, brother.
Yeah, likewise, man. Be well.
All right. See everybody next week.